Well, good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Apologies for being a minute late today. I'm a little bit late. It almost seems like Manchester United are deciding to move early, a little bit like the opposite of me this morning, being a little bit late. But Man United agreeing personal terms with Mason Mount. Manchester United having detailed conversations with Atalanta over Rasmus Højlund and Frankfurt over Mwani as well. I'm going to run through all the news with you this morning because, as you can see, that board, I brought that board out yesterday. There's been a couple of changes. Mason Mount's moved over to the moving category. We've got Rasmus Højlund and Colin Mwani down there in the bottom left. Could happen. I'm going to run through all of it. Diogo Dalot signing a new 5-year contract. We'll speak about that. We'll speak about my predicted 11 and conversations around the game against City on Saturday. Then we're going to have a full-on discussion around Mason Mount as the main part of today's show after the Telegraph revealed yesterday that terms have been agreed and United are looking to move fast. Look, we've been asking for United to move fast. It's the 1st of June. And United are making moves very early this summer. All right? I'm going to run through all of it. Who's down here from the community? Good morning to everybody. We've got Lily, got Stephen Reacts, Ash Piper, Teresa, Stu, El Runio, how you doing? Jonesy, Nathan Hawkins, we've got Carl, we've got John Neal, Fred Cranham, how you doing, buddy? Julie, you say you need to get a bigger board. Jeez, you're telling me. I kind of half regret doing that straight away. I'll tell you something that's happened as well. I'll pull this up on screen at some point later in the show, but Phil, who's a legendary subscriber, has actually made a digital version of this, so we can get that up on screen as well, and I'll show you that because that might be a little bit better for everyone. Paulie, you're there too, and Josh, Charlie, Bully, as always. Who's here from Facebook? We've got Ithaco, we've got Cabba, Isaacs, we've got Shane Wheeler. We've got the announcement of the raffle draw, 500 quid. Somebody won for 2 quid, bought 2 tickets and won 500 quid. I love that. Oh, I apologize about the boring intro as I was accused of last week. But let's get into this show. As I said, big up to Phil, legendary Phil, who did this, right? I'm going to make this publicly available for everybody, but I'm going to update it a little bit later too. This is a tracker. This is everything that you can see on that board there. We've got a digital version of it too. So I can make that available for everybody because I know not everybody can read that. I apologize if it's a little bit too small, but it's almost it's almost like we get linked with a million different players every summer. It really is going to be a busy one. I'm going to try my hardest to cover it all, but it's kicked in earnest before we've even got the FA Cup final done. Nathan, you're saying link to FC. Don't know who FC. Legendary stuff. Who's FC, Nathan? I don't know. I'm that joke right over my head. I'll be completely honest. I want to quickly announce the winner of the £500 raffle giveaway. You can see what the prize is this month. The prize is bigger and better every single month. This one's legit. 50-inch 4K Samsung Smart TV and a Bose soundbar. It's bigger. It's better. Get yourself ready for the new season. Same thing. The same as congratulations to Carl Meredith, who won £500 cash for £2. He bought 2 tickets and he won that. Big up to you, Carl. Big up to everybody who in the community who's getting involved in these raffles. Look, congratulations to Carl. Carl, we've reached out to you by email, and the next one this month is that 4K 50-inch TV plus a Bose soundbar. It's really wicked. It really is. I know it is the biggest prize so far, and as I said, every single month we're going to make the prizes that much, a little bit bigger and that much better. Jordan, you're asking how you buy a ticket. Anybody who wants to buy a ticket, there you go. There's the link there. And you're saying, Sam, you're just upgrading your flat and raffling off your old gear. Yep, exposed. I just have 500 quid cash lying around and a brand new PS5, and now I've got a brand new 4K 50-inch TV and a Bose soundbar. It's funny. But look, oh yeah, before I quickly start, I want to say congratulations to Alex Tellez, who for some reason looks pretty upset there, but I think he's just really happy, who won the Europa League yesterday. Mate, Sevilla, I suppose at least we lost to the eventual winners. They're absolutely mad. They're absolutely mad. Lily, you're saying, is it UK only? These prize draws are not UK only, all right? These prize draws are global. However, if you're outside of the UK, to make it easier, because transporting that halfway across the world would be very difficult. There would be a cash equivalent to that prize for anybody who's outside of the UK. But if you're in the UK, you get that bad boy. But yeah, last night, I'm not sure if you watched it. It was it was Pete Mourinho. I kind of still wanted it. I wanted him to win. I think the idea of him doing back-to-back European titles with Roma, who hadn't won a European title ever, or was it back in the 60s? They might have won one, but then it was a pure Italian style final. I don't know how many yellow cards came out in the end. It was ridiculous. But I think there was a video going around of Jose Mourinho chasing down Anthony Taylor in the car park. Very Drogba vibes. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. But anyway, congratulations to Alex Telles. He'll still be leaving. But let's move on to the main talking point from today's show. You can see on that board that there's a certain name who's moved into the moving category, and that is Mason Mount. Now, this has come last night from James Ducker and from Jason Burt from the Telegraph. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run through the full article first. We're then going to discuss it as a community. My lunchtime video today will be all about Mason Mount and how he would fit in at Manchester United. I'll give a little bit of a preview here. The one thing I would say here about Mason Mount is this, right? Before we read the article. If Man United, we're moving to sign Mason Mount right now. We've agreed terms with him. I'll run through that article. You might disagree with the signing, but this isn't a desperation signing. I saw it. I can't remember who it was. Somebody in the comments this morning before we went live. It caught my eye. This is not even if you don't want Mason Mount to be signed, it's not a desperation signing. One thing we can say absolutely about Ten Hag throughout his whole time so far, he's very meticulous. He likes to prepare. Sometimes it doesn't work, but that's who he is known as. And if United are moving this early and this quickly for Mason Mount, then he really does feel that Mason Mount would fit his system. He feels that he is a perfect profile signing for Man United. I'll be totally honest. I agree with every single one of you when it comes to having the conversation around a 55 million price tag for Mason Mount. But I will run through the article now and we'll discuss it as a community. So you fire in your questions and concerns. I'll read this first and then we'll head back down to it. Look, Mount agrees personal terms with Manchester United. Okay. Let's scroll down here. Man United have agreed personal terms with Mason Mount and are now expected to sign the Chelsea midfielder. At the same time, Chelsea have also granted permission for City to talk to Kovacic. Now, I did a video previously on Kovacic, and you know what I felt about him in terms of, I think that would have been a smart signing. The deal signaled the start of a huge overhaul at Chelsea. Yeah, who cares about that? Mount was also wanted by Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool, who cares about that? A transfer fee is yet to be agreed for Mount. But Telegraph Sport revealed on Tuesday that Ten Hag is confident he can persuade him to join and is pushing United's board to get the deal over the line. Ten Hag regards Mount as one of two key signings in the forthcoming window and will play him as a number 8. The other signing he desperately wants is Harry Kane. Talks have progressed positively in recent days over Mount and accelerated after we played each other last week. So Mason Mount, right? He's saying his goodbyes. He's currently injured. It's all around the fee. That's what I want you to type in the comments now, right? The fee. That's the sticking point. Okay. How much do you genuinely? He's got 1 year left on his deal. I don't particularly feel that Chelsea hold any sort of power in this negotiation. They've already signed so many players. We know they need to get money. We know they need to get players off their books. Kovacic with 1 year left, he's going City. Mount with 1 year left, looks like he's coming to Manchester United. I think it's the fee that angers people more than anything about Mason Mount. And there's more to talk about. And trust me, it's going to be a good show today. I think you'll enjoy it. Corey, you're saying 30 to 40. So many comments coming in. I love how engaged all you are. Big up to this community, man. It makes the show what it is. Daniel Darks, you're saying 45. Troy, you're saying 45. Matt, you're saying 40 mil. Lily, you're saying 32. Jamie Lord, 50 million. Alex, 40 million max. the way that I'm looking at Mason Mount is this, right? If you look at Mason Mount as Scott McTominay leaving for in the region of 30 million, thereabouts, and Mason Mount coming in for probably, let's be realistic, 45 to 50 million, I think, then you're looking at a very decent, I would say, squad upgrade from McTominay to Mount. Now, I think if you ask United fans, a lot of United fans will say, yeah, I would imagine the majority of people would say that's a good upgrade. I can get behind that. I think the reason people are angry about Mason Mount is, I suppose, the fear that Mount would then be our only midfield signing this summer. Ridwan, you're saying we don't need Mason Mount. I don't think you're thinking about. I've done a short video on it. I haven't done a full video on it, but Ten Hag's system is being tweaked. Ten Hag's system is changing. What we thought he was building towards, I don't think he's doing that. I think he's done a little bit of a pivot and he's going somewhere else. And that's where Mason Mount fits in. Sam, you're saying he'll be a Donny van der Beek replacement. It's an upgrade on McTominay, but that's not hard. McTominay's a decent enough player, but it will never really go too far past that. Now, Pandian, you've made a good point there about him being homegrown. And again, I'm doing a video on this. But if you look at Manchester United's homegrown list, right? Let me pull this up, right? Give me 1 minute to research this. This is really important. Let's go for the right. Okay. Let me look at the Premier League homegrown rules. Premier League. What is a Premier League squad list? Right. So let me explain this, all right? I won't be able to do this in real time on the show with you together properly. This needs another video, okay? But homegrown is definitely going to be part of the thought process of Manchester United this summer, right? So this is from the Premier League official website. Each squad, I think, is it a 25-man squad? I think it is. It can contain no more than 17 players who do not fill the homegrown criteria. No more than 17. So you have to have a minimum of 8 homegrown players. If you look at Manchester United's list down here, I don't believe the youth players count. It gets a bit confusing. In fact, I'm not going to do this live on the stream. I'm not, because but trust me, Man United need to sign. That's the point I'm trying to make. United need to sign homegrown players this summer. All right. So I'd explain that in a separate video. I don't want to get the data wrong here because I know what I'm talking about, but it's very hard to do live whilst running through all this. Okay. But yeah, it definitely is going to be a question. Now let's go back and let's read this article. This is from Sammy Motbell from the Daily Mail on Mason Mount too. United will step up that pursuit of him. Clubs are like, and you see this madness here. Where is this? Can you read that? There's Daily Mail with their stupid pop-ups. That Chelsea value him at 85 million. I mean, you've got to laugh, don't you? You've got to laugh. 85 million for him with 1 year left. Even if he had a 5-year contract, you'd still kind of laugh at Mason Mount for 85 million. It's not going to happen. Chelsea, of course, because Chelsea have spent wildly, and all the credit cards are coming back in now, and they've got to pay it off. So they're going to try and rinse anybody. They're going to try and rinse City for Kovacic. This is just another example of the madness that's going on at Chelsea. Paying over the odds for players, then putting over the odds prices on players. My gut instinct tells me we're going to overpay for Mason Mount. I don't think the fee is going to be something that a lot of United fans agree with. That's kind of the way I see it going. Mate, look at this down there, man. This legend of a community. JVD, you're there gifting 5 memberships twice. Hero. And Danny, you've gifted 5 as well. Let's whip the gong out. Triple tap. Triple threat match. Old school wrestling. 85 million. Yeah, good luck with that one, lads. Good luck with that one. But, mate, look, price aside, what's your feelings and reaction to Mason Mount? Because judging by the reaction I've seen, overall, there's a lot of frustration among United fans that feel that he isn't good enough. He isn't that player that can come into this Manchester United team and raise the quality of our starting 11. I see that as probably the overwhelming feeling. It's not complete. I genuinely think, and I'm not just saying this because we're signing him, I can see a lot of logic to Mason Mount coming in. And the fact that United are moving this early and quickly shows me that a lot of work has been done behind the scenes, and we've been calling for it. Right? Last summer was a straight panic in the Dutch market, or anybody who was linked to Ajax. That's who Ten Hag went after. That's who Man United signed, because at that point in time, we didn't have enough research and data to sign players to a certain profile. We've done that research this summer. And Mason Mount has come out clearly high up that list. And you know, one thing I would say as well, Stephen, you sent a super chat. Let me read this out for you, buddy. If Ten Hag signs still with Stevie Wonder, I'll still back him, says Stephen. And that's the big thing about it, man. Like, Ten Hag has earned our right, or certainly earned my trust anyway, when it comes to signings. Even if I would look at Mason Mount and go, I'd rather United put another 20, 25 million into it and got Moises Caicedo. But they are sort of different ends of the number 8 spectrum. Moises Caicedo would be a number 8, that energetic, mobile number 8 that would probably add a lot more to the build-up, to the progression of the ball, to the defensive side of things. Mason Mount is somebody who is far better in the opposition's half, somebody who can and does have a very high defensive work rate and would operate inside a midfield trio, but kind of from a different perspective. Let me see what you're saying down here. Corey, you're saying we need someone who can create chance in the final third and defend in both halves. And Mount can't do that. You've pretty much just described what Mason Mount's game is. He can create chances in the final third. Not last season. Look, if you're going to write players off for last season at Chelsea, you're going to write off that entire squad. He was terrible last year, but the year before, when he was putting in double figures for goals and assists in the Premier League, what you've just described there is Mason Mount when he's playing well. He's 24. If Ten Hag wants to sign him, he clearly is confident about him as a system player, is what I would say. Andy, you're saying, I think he will get a lot better under Eric, but he's about 40, 45 million, if that. I think I'm pretty much in agreement with you, Andy. I think oh, never mind. So Samuel Upclose has said no personal terms agreed yet. Cancel the show. Or I'm going to be listening to James Ducker and Jason Burt, which is exactly what I'm going to do. That's quite funny, actually. That Corey, I'm not meaning to call you out, but it's just that comment there is exactly the profile of Mason Mount. He wouldn't be down there in my in my top list, but I could see it being a good signing. And this is where, look, I'm going to be doing a video at lunchtime on this because it's really, I don't know whether United fans can see the tweaks and see the changes, and I feel like it would work for a video. Nashwin, you're saying McAllister over Mount. Well, McAllister's going to Liverpool. He's always been going to Liverpool. And again, this comes down to the work that United have done. Because for us to be moving this early and quickly with Mason Mount means that all that work has been done behind the scenes. If we wanted Alexis McAllister, we would have moved as quickly as we have with Mason Mount, because we could have, but we chose not to. Ten Hag chose not to. Ten Hag obviously saw or has seen more in the profile of Mason Mount compared to Alexis McAllister. Now, this is what I mean about the tactical switch, right? This might be a little bit boring for some people, but it's quite important, I think, for everybody to understand. When we signed, look, last summer, who's leaving? Sabitza's leaving. Last summer, it was all about signing this man, right? He was going to be the main cog in the wheel. Would be Frankie de Jong receiving the ball from the defense and driving it forward, being that ball carrier. Now, we never ended up with de Jong. Get you in there. We never ended up with de Jong. We signed Casemiro instead. And we had Eriksen alongside him. And for the majority of this season, Man United have played with a midfield two. We've played with Casemiro or McTominay or whoever's played there has played a slightly deeper with Eriksen or Fred or whoever's played there slightly further forward with Bruno Fernandes operating in pretty much a number 10 position. Okay. That's been how Manchester United's midfield is set up. And going into this summer, we were looking at it going, right, where's the signings going to happen? We know that we're going to get a striker. But the thing here is that I think Man United are switching towards a slight tweak on the system, right? And I've done a video on this already. But instead of now having sort of Casemiro as kind of a semi-number 6, Eriksen as kind of a semi-number 8, and Bruno as a number 10, we are going to be switching more towards this, right? Where you get Casemiro really operating as a number 6 in isolation. He's really going to be screening, not really moving too much. And Casemiro, as we've seen this season, I think this is why Ten Hag has confidence to switch this. We've seen Casemiro's distribution with his long diagonals. His passing range is so much better than I thought it was. And I think Ten Hag has learnt that as well. I mean, I imagine he probably would have known a little bit more than we did. But now, next season, instead of having Frankie de Jong being that deeper line progressor, there's going to be more responsibility on these two. That's why we're looking at Kim. And that's why I think United next season will play a bit of a higher line as a consequence, right? So we're going to get one number 6, and then we're going to get 2 number 8s. Instead of Bruno being a number 10, Eriksen being slightly deeper, it's going to be 2 number 8s. And that is exactly where Mason Mount does fit in. I imagine if you actually think about the positions and where he's been most successful at Chelsea, it's in that left half space. I think we're going to switch to a more traditional 4-3-3 with 2 number 8 midfielders and a number 6, rather than a 4-2-3-1, which is what Ten Hag was originally going towards. And that's where I see United doing it. And something, as I said here, that's quite important to this, because Casemiro is going to be tasked with a lot of ball progression, as are the 2 centre-backs. This defensive line next year, I imagine, on average, will play higher up the pitch. They'll make that space smaller. Our attack up here, we're going to be pressing more from the front. And you know what allows you to press better from the front? Having 2 number 8 midfielders instead of having a double pivot with 1 number 10. This system is a bit of a tweak, a bit of a change, but one where Mason Mount fits in. Now, you might not like Mason Mount. You might think he's overpriced. But I've explained right there to the logic of why we're going after Mason Mount. There's going to be a tactical switch. And look, it might work, it might not work. I trust Ten Hag in saying it will work. Alex, you're saying, Sam, surely Ten Hag will want the options of either system as and when required. Of course, there will be certain games maybe where having a tactical tweak will work. And Ten Hag will do that. Dudley, you're saying Caicedo should be signed regardless. And that's something I agree with. Something I absolutely agree with. Because if I look at this here with Mason Mount, as I said, I look and say, well, if McTominay leaves and we get 30 mil and we spend 50 mil on Mason Mount, that's like a 20 mil outlay. Okay, that's a slight squad upgrade for that tweak of system, but still we need more in that midfield. And getting Caicedo in there would be great. The signing. That is the midfield signing for me. And I think you've seen Declan Rice getting linked to Bayern Munich. I mean, that could happen. Strikes me as Declan Rice would probably enjoy staying in London a bit more. Don't know. Let me see what you're saying down here. Viega, Celtic Vigo, is he on your list? He's on the list. Don't worry about that. That list is going to be so hard to keep on top of. It really, really is. Asan, he's saying at Ajax, he proved that he can tweak systems. Absolutely. Mason Mount, let's see how this one continues to develop. But you can see up there on the board that Mason Mount has moved into the moving category. And I tell you what, we need to speak about this as well, because that's why I was a little bit late today, because United are moving quickly. Let's move on from the conversation around midfield. I've done that about Mason Mount. My lunchtime video is going to be a more detailed version of that. Okay. Going to take a look at some pizza charts, going to compare Mason Mount to our current midfielders, see where his profile fits in. Jonathan Leo. There we go. Jonathan, you're saying, Sam, why do you keep pushing Mount and Kane on us? Looks very mush. So because you keep saying that you are the best, yet there are better. Anybody? At what point did I say Mason Mount was the best? At no point have I ever said Mason Mount was the best. I would rather Man United signed Moises Caicedo if you look side by side. All I've explained to you there is that Mason Mount's not a desperation signing. Mason Mount's not a signing out of nowhere. Mason Mount is a signing that clearly has been pushed for a reason, that Ten Hag is pushing for a reason. And why am I pushing Harry Kane? Because I genuinely think he'd be the best option for us. And that's a personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but it's an opinion. But speaking about strikers, that's what I mean. Let's talk about these two. Rasmus Højlund and Kolo Muani. Two different strikers, two kind of very different strikers. Man United have held detailed talks. What I'm going to do here is run through this article. It's from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic. Make sure, if you can, take 1 second now. Please drop a like on the video. It's going to be a busy summer. I'd love to have you on board as part of this community. I'm so excited for it. I really am. I'm looking forward to having the privilege of covering it, and I hope I can cover it properly. But look, Man United hold talks Rasmus Højlund and Randall Kolo Muani. Let's run through this article here. United have held detailed talks over potential deals for Højlund and Muani. Out of the two, Højlund is seen as the likelier player to join United at this stage. Ten Hag has made a centre forward a priority signing this summer and views Harry Kane as the ideal candidate. I can't believe that. Can't believe Eric Ten Hag is pushing Harry Kane on us. Unbelievable. Harry Kane is the primary target. Now, if you go over here and we see this, right, you're seeing, I don't know, various different stories around Harry Kane. I'm going to speak to my good mate Flav from the Fighting Cock Spurs podcast. Probably, I don't know, next week or the week after. Because I want to speak to him about Harry Kane. Like, what are Spurs doing? We know full well there is a possibility that Spurs play hardball. A possibility that we don't get Harry Kane because Spurs just don't want to sell to a Premier League rival. That could happen. And that's why we've got to move early. And that's why I'm happy to hear and see that Man United are already having talks with other alternatives. Because the last thing we want is to be left high and dry because of Harry Kane with no striker. Let's talk about this. A couple of super chats here. Let me read these out. Chaos, how you doing, buddy? Craig, you're saying, where'd you get that butcher hoodie? Mate, it's my design. It's United People's TV design. uptvmerch.com. Let me pull that up. I'm so bad with promoting the merch. I really am. I put so much effort and work into that. But I'm just so distracted with everything else that's going on. I've got a brand new Rashford design that I really should have released after Rashford bagged Player of the Season players and the Sir Matt Busby play. It's a wicked one with his celebration. It's one of my favorite designs, actually. I just haven't released it yet because I've been too busy. I need more people. Chaos, how you doing? Sam, do you think these moves are moving fast because the Glazers know the new owners are giving approval? And that's the one thing, isn't it? We heard about, Man United aren't going to move fast. It's going to be delayed. All of a sudden, we've agreed terms with Mason Mount, and we're in detailed talks with Højlund and Muani. Man United are moving. You can look into that in the links with the ownership if you really want to, but we'd all be speculating and guessing. So I'm not going to do that. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. We were expecting it to be a slow start. In fact, it's been one of the fastest starts so far. Nothing's actually happened yet. Hence why it's just on a moving column and not actually done. Estavo, how you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in a while. Most fans are against Mount, yet don't understand quotas and regulations need to be met to register a squad. Kane and Mount, they perfectly feel that. Now, that will be a separate video, right? The homegrown situation, I think, is going to be playing into Manchester United's summer transfer policy this summer, as well as new owners and as well as finances. Look, it remains to be seen whether Daniel Levy would sanction a sale of Harry Kane. That we know full well. John Murto has stepped up dialogue around targets since United secured Champions League. Murto has spoke to Atalanta and Eintracht several times over both Højlund and Moani. That's an interesting one. Højlund's got the same agency as Erik ten Hag, so you imagine that will be quite an easy deal to get done. In terms of price, I think you're going down there. Frankfurt, Kolo Muani would cost a lot. I believe that Bayern Munich are looking at Muani as well as their number 9. They're looking at Dusan. They're looking at quite a few targets that we are. They're looking at Dusan Vlahovic from Juve, I think is quite high up the Bayern Munich list. And Kolo Muani as well from Frankfurt, of course, because he's in the Bundesliga. 80 million euros. It's a lot of dough. It's about, well, you can go down there. United have also scouted Napoli's Victor Osimhen, but they're saying there's no way he's going to be sold. Victor Osimhen is, I personally think we can rule out Victor Osimhen. You know how when we went after Jadon Sancho that summer, and I believe the price was 120 million. And we thought that they were bluffing. And we just kept going in with low ball offers. I think we offered like 80, 85 million. We didn't sign him. We signed him a year later for 72 million. Well, we didn't really call their bluff, but we got him for significantly cheaper. I imagine Victor Osimhen, that's kind of what's going to happen this summer. Unless they reduce the demands on Victor Osimhen, then I think Osimhen stays at Napoli because no one's going to pay the 130, 140 million. Because that's basically what the Napoli president is doing. Give us an offer we can't refuse and we'll let Osimhen go. But other than that, we're keeping him. So if we're looking at different ones, 80 million, by the way, for Moani. What do you reckon about that? Seems a bit overpriced. But I suppose, you know, we all have fears about the Premier League, mate. We all have fears about the Super League. The Premier League is effectively a version of the Super League so far. It's where all the money is. And everyone in the Premier League is going to have to pay more as a consequence of it. Højlund is interesting, right? Let's bring this up. I look at both of these strikers. Maybe Moani a little bit less so. I think Moani could come in and be your main number 9 straight away. Højlund is someone who isn't. Now, if we go down this article here, we can see, look, there you go, right there. Ten Hag would ideally like to bring in an experienced striker plus a younger one who can develop at Manchester United. But such an outlay would depend on player sales. Now, the idea there of Man United getting Højlund plus an experienced striker, such as Harry Kane, would be dreamland. Absolute dreamland. That's what we all want. I went through my perfect summer transfer window, and I put Kane with Thuram as my second. Because I just didn't think that Manchester United would have anywhere near enough money to sign both Kane and Højlund. I thought it would have to be Kane plus a free transfer. Now, if we can get both of them in, then it is player sales dependent. I've already done mine. I think United should be realistically raising in the region of 100 to 150 million through player sales this summer. And that's not an outrageous number at all. In fact, I would say that's quite conservative. We should be able to do that. But United are in detailed talks. Let's go up to the top here again. We're in detailed talks over Moani and Højlund. United clearly are putting in the groundwork for what could probably happen if we don't sign Harry Kane. Although maybe we'll sign one of them and Harry Kane. Let me go down here and see what you're saying. Alex, you're saying, Sam, would you be happy with Højlund and Thuram or with Muani and Thuram? I can't make my mind up on either of those two yet because I haven't done enough research into them. So I won't say that just yet. But Højlund, I've watched him play. They both look good. Højlund looks a bit more exciting. I don't know. I don't know the right way to describe it. But he's got that physique, which helps, I think. Mount is the most underwhelming player in the Premier League, says Suya. Okie dokie. You don't like Mason Mount. You would take Ward-Prowse over him. Mate, Ward-Prowse isn't... What? Because he's got a set piece in him. Ward-Prowse isn't that mobile number 8, in my opinion, compared to Mason Mount. I still really don't get why no talk around Thuram, says Robert. And I was a bit curious, I suppose. In the same way that... where is it? Is it that one? No. Where is it? Not that one. Jeez. In the same way that there's never been any conversation around Yuri Tillemans. It's an odd one, isn't it? The Yuri Tillemans situation, I've always found quite strange. I still think there's a good player there. And it's something that you can type your name in the comments now because we've already had this discussion. It doesn't deserve a poll. But if you had to choose between signing one of these two, that's Yuri Tillemans or Adrien Rabiot, both available on a free transfer this summer. And don't just say both, because United aren't just going to slam their squad full of players just for the sake of it. That would be equally as destructive as not having a squad strong enough. But I don't know, the Tielemans one I've always found very strange. Like no one's moving fast for him. If we're looking at the player that has had the better 12 to 18 months, then it's a no-brainer. Rabiot was quite impressive for France at the World Cup. Rabiot's had a pretty decent season with Juventus. Tielemans has disappeared into the shadow. However, of course, with Rabiot, you get question marks around attitude, question marks around Veronique, and maybe more the off-the-pitch issues that could affect the on-the-pitch. I don't know. Playing. It's interesting. I could see United going after one of them. I don't think we'll sign both of them. Somebody who we had a conversation. I did a video on him. Man City are going after Kovacic. He would be that deeper line playmaker signing. Very, very different profile to Mason Mount. And City are going after him. I presume that would simply be Gundogan leaving City and Kovacic coming in. Very much a kind of a like-for-like replacement-ish. Although Kovacic plays a little bit deeper than Gundogan. But I imagine that's where the space in the squad would happen. Bully, you're saying what's happened to Bellingham? It looks like Bellingham's going Real Madrid, right? All day long, isn't he? That's what I think so anyway. Bully, you gifted a membership. Hero, man. You gifted one to Mr. Scam. It's a lovely name, isn't it? F Scam. Isn't it mad to United moving fast? It's weird. I don't know what United are doing. Something else when it comes to the transfer season. Jack Butland is going to be looking. It looks like he's going to be leaving Manchester United and joining Rangers. I've already had him down on my list to leave. So we might have to put... I'm going to have to start filling this up now, actually. Because obviously you've got Phil Jones, who's leaving. Tuanzebe is leaving. Eric Bailly is definitely going to be leaving. Alex Telles is definitely going to be leaving. Jack Butland will be leaving on a free transfer. That's 5 names off the list. And there are so many others that are going to be added to that list. I can't wait to see how that shapes up by the end of it. I think I might run out of room for players who are linked to us, though. Alex, you're saying, Sam, it's weird because it feels like we're actually a bit more organised this summer. It's exactly what it feels like. You might not like what the organisation is. But this is organised from United. This is research from United. And they're going after Mason Mount. And personal terms have been agreed. Now, my video today will be on Mason Mount and Manchester United. I want to explain this slightly new system that we're doing and where and why he fits in. Tomorrow's video might be on the homegrown rule and why I genuinely think it will have an impact on who we go after this summer. And that's maybe why Harry Kane ticks 2 boxes rather than just 1 box. There's a super chat here from Sark. How you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. You're saying, as somebody who watched Ten Hag in the ED, Eredivisie, Rabiot suits his play way more. He is a watered-down Frenkie for France, someone who connects the midfield, defense, and attack. Thank you very much for the chat, dude. And I big up to any Ajax fan or Eredivisie fan who came over to United People's TV over these last couple of years and tuned in, because I've had so many of you, and it really is wicked. It goes to show the just how much of an impact Ten Hag had at Ajax, and mate, he left it on great terms, didn't he? Let me see what you're saying down here. Everyone's telling me to take a look at what Samuel Luckhurst is saying on Haaland. Let's have a quick look then. Let's see if he's got anything to add to the situation. Don't know why I said that. He's been identified as an attainable target, says Samuel. Ten Hag's held multiple video calls with him. Okay. How much do you reckon he would cost? Again, interested to know this in the comments. How much do you think that Rasmus Højlund would cost? Obviously had a breakthrough season with Atalanta, but you're not talking anywhere near the 80 million euros that being quoted there for Moani, who's had a cracking season in the Bundesliga. Is he 20? Let me have a look. I think he's 20. Yeah, he's 20. And we go up here. 60 mil, says Daz. 30 to 40, says Jonathan. How you doing, Jonathan? I haven't seen you in a while. 40 million, says TJ. 60 million euros. 50 to 60. 50 to 60 seems like a lot of dough, man. Seems like a lot of money. Although, how much did we pay for Ahmad? We signed Ahmad from there, didn't we? I think that was like that. I think that rose to like 30, 40 million, didn't it? Man United sign Ahmad. Signing for 19 million, includes a further 18.2 million in add-ons. So in total, 37 million. And we signed him from Atalanta. So maybe you're looking a bit more. I love the idea. I love the idea of Man United signing an experienced striker and a young striker. It's exactly what we need. That ticks every single box, because we won't be able to just rely on Harry Kane every single game next season if we do sign him. Just in the same way that we wouldn't be able to rely on Rasmus Højlund on his own if we signed him. Ryan's saying he isn't that good now. He is a breakthrough prospect, someone who really does have quality and talent, but clearly is probably 4 or 5 years off the final product. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I think these are the sorts of signings that United need to make more of. Players who clearly have got an abundance of talent, players who have already started on the road to being a star, but aren't quite a star yet. Evan Ferguson would have been probably my dream signing in that respect, in that profile of a young, up-and-coming striker who looks like he could go on to be a world beater. I would probably put Evan Ferguson top of that list, but he's just signed a new contract at Brighton. So we're not going to be going after him now. As a Estevo, you sent cheers, dude. You sent another super chat. What are you saying? 3 English players leaving the squad: Jones, Twanzebe, and Maguire. McTominay, maybe 2 as well. Manu coming in 1 fills that hole. Kane and Mount fills the other 2. No, honestly, it's a bit more than that. It is a bit more than that. If you look, Button leaving. If you look at who's the name of the other keeper? Heaton leaving as well. Trust me, there's far more. That's why I need to do that video on the homegrown list, because it definitely does have it does play. It's like Garnacho, I don't think counts as a homegrown talent yet, because he hasn't been at Manchester United for 3 years. I don't think that gets into. Trust me, there are complications to it. That's why I didn't want to do it in this video here live. I've got to get my research right before I present that data. Louis, you're saying with Harry leaving, where are they on signing Kim? Well, Kim, I should move Kim Min-jae down to the could happen. Or Kim Minja. Just call him Kim, Sam. Just call him Kim. You can't get it wrong. I need to update that a little bit. I updated it this morning, but I'm not sure it is completely bang on. There's more that needs to happen. Wow. This summer's going to be busy. I think this, you know how last summer, my gut feeling throughout the whole summer was that we're all going to be happy at the end of it. And I did maintain that the whole way through. And I think at the end of it, I like to think that we were pretty happy. Not in how much we pay for players, not in how we operated, but I think overall, if you look at the players we signed, we were quite happy. This summer, I think, is finally going to be that summer where we do genuinely clear the decks. Because we have to. All previous summers, we've talked about offloading the deadwood, getting rid of players, X, Y, Z. It's what we've wanted to happen. But the club hasn't actually needed to do it. This is the summer I think that changes. Because of our budgets, because of restrictions, because of a lot of reasons, we have to shift players on. And we will be shifting players on. Now, I've looked. That's McTominay, that's Martial, that's Tellez, that's Bailly, that's Jones, that's Williams, that's Heaton's going to be leaving, that's Butland's going to be leaving. Maybe Fred to Fulham. There's a question mark there. There is so much. That done box by the end of the summer is going to be absolutely stacked. And I'm really looking forward to that. This is the summer where truly we get our squad back in shape to compete. That's what I would say. That's my personal prediction. I can't put any predictions on who the players are going to be, but that really is how I feel. That's how I feel about this summer. What else we got on the talking point list today? Oh, we've got to have a conversation about this. In fact, let me read a few of your comments out down first. Richard, you're saying no holiday for you, Sam. No, I've already told my partner that unfortunately summer holidays aren't what they are. Not, I can't go away in the summer. The summer's too busy. Do your holidays in different times of the year. Summer for me is going to be flat out here with United People's TV and covering the transfer window. So if you can, do drop a like on the video. I do work very hard at it. And I like to think that we've built something brilliant here. And I like to think that Ten Hag, that man right there, is going to be building a fantastic squad. We paid 35 mil to Atalanta for Ahmad. They'll want about 80 for Højlund. Yeah, well, they're not going to get 80 for Højlund, but they'll definitely get a fair bit. You're probably looking somewhere 40 to 50. Jonathan, you're saying Ralph advised that 10 were needed. How many have you had so far? Is it 5 last summer? Anthony, Casemiro, Martinez, Ericsson, and was it Dubravka? I missed one. Probably missed one. I think it was 5 last summer. You know what I've always thought about summer holidays? It's really weird in the UK. Why'd you go away when it's hot? I know why. Because it's the kids and it's the summer holidays. So that's when it happens. But the summer's when it's actually decent to be in the UK. Like, do your hots. Go somewhere hot in, I don't know, January time. Sod that. Guess when you get out of the country, you enjoy the sunshine when it comes to July and August. You reckon Matic Kovar could get a chance next season? Maybe. I'm still reaching out to speak to a Sparta Prague-based journalist who find out about him, because I think that's quite important. There's something that we should be speaking about here before we finish the show. I'm going to say congratulations to Diogo Dalot, who signed a new 5-year contract. What do you think about that? Honestly, I think across the course of the season, my opinions on our right back have changed somewhat. Gungshi, you ledge, man. Got to whip out the gong for Gungshi. Every single... Big up to you, man. Hero of the channel. Legend. Godfather. Maybe not Godfather. Maybe legend. All of them. All of the above. Big up to you, Gungshi. But Diogo Dalot signing a new contract. Across the course of the season, my opinions on our right backs have sort of not chopped and changed, but they've, your opinion on anything in life is allowed to change when more evidence presents itself. If it doesn't, then you might be stuck with a genuine agenda or a genuine, like you've got the blinkers on and you don't want to listen to anything that's happening. Diogo Dalot, up until the World Cup, our first choice right back by far. He was great. Wan-Bissaka after the World Cup dominated him. And Diogo Dalot's sort of his form has dipped massively. But he's got a 5-year contract. I'm presuming that 10... Look, I think Dalot... I'm not sure whether I would have given him a 5-year contract. I thought if I looked at those two right backs, which right back would I genuinely think we could probably upgrade on? I probably would say Diogo Dalot, because I think that this Wan-Bissaka is, we all know he is a defensive specialist. There will be certain games and occasions and opposition where Wan-Bissaka comes in, whether that's St. Maximin, probably Grealish in the FA Cup final, where Wan-Bissaka, you come in and go, boom, hell yeah, you play. Whereas there will be other games where Dalot is more suited. And I thought that if you're looking at which one you could upgrade into a better version of that, I would probably say Diogo Dalot. I'm not upset about him signing a new contract. And as I said, Ten Hag has my trust. I think he knows what he's doing. I know he knows what he's doing. But I'm a little bit surprised to see it being a 5-year contract. But you can't say that Dalot hasn't progressed and improved as a player over his last couple of years, because he has. He absolutely has. But I hope that the start of next season, we see Diogo Dalot get back to that pre-World Cup form, because that's when he was fantastic. Now, the last couple of minutes of the show, you can ask me whatever you want. As always, it can be about Mason Mount. And as I said, we've ran through the main article there. Man United have agreed personal terms with Mason Mount, and we are moving for him as well as moving for Højlund and Muani. Things are kicking off quickly this summer. All right? Very quickly. Look at that. Wicked comment there coming in from T-Ball. Okay, thank you very much for super chat, dude. You're saying, look, I was at the Frankfurt Freiburg game last week, and Muani's a monster, and buying him would be perfect. He's exactly what we need. Well, I'm looking forward to doing some far more detailed research into Muani, seeing the profile, because as I said, that's what United are doing here. Mason Mount, you might not like it. You might not agree with it. It's a profile signing. Ten Hag is signing him for a reason, and I've explained exactly what I think that is and why we're switching towards a bit of a different system with 2 number 8s, and that's where Mason Mount fits in. So I'm definitely going to be doing a video on that this lunchtime. That's a lie, Sam. You're wrong on that. Wan-Bissaka can be improved in his attacking. Yeah, Wan-Bissaka's improved. Everyone's improved. I think Wan-Bissaka, you can't really get better than him as a defensive specialist. So in those occasions where you need that defensive specialist right back, you got Wan-Bissaka. That's what I'm trying to say. When do you think we'll hear about it from the Rain Group, says Alex. Jesus, how long is a piece of string? I'm speaking quietly in the background with Ben Jacobs and a few other people all the time. Stuff is happening behind the scenes. Nothing's just coming out in public. All we can do is sit and wait, unfortunately. And we all felt and feared that our whole summer window would be held up and nothing would happen as a consequence. Instead, here we are, agreeing personal terms with Mason Mount, and we've already had detailed conversations with Højlund and Muani. Things are moving behind the scenes when it comes to this summer, and with so much to do, absolutely has to. Bully, you're a legend, man. Big up this community indeed. It absolutely is the best community in the world. I really enjoyed that show. It was a busy one. My lunchtime video today will be on Mason Mount, will be on how he fits that system and why it's not a desperation signing. You might not like it, but it's an indicator that things are changing behind the scenes. We're starting to plan properly, and that in isolation absolutely has to be considered a good thing. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you can, please drop a like on the video. It does make such a difference. I'll be back here tomorrow. As always, take it easy. Oh, as I said, look at that. 50-inch 4K TV plus a Bose soundbar is the raffle prize this month. It's the biggest one so far. We've had a PS5, an Xbox Series X bundle, 500 quid cash, and this bad boy is worth more than all of those. You definitely want to buy a ticket because Carl, congratulations to Carl. Say it one more time. Carl Meredith, you won 500 quid cash. He only bought 2 tickets. So he won 500 quid for 2 quid. How's that for a little bit of a present in May? Big up to you, Carl. Big up to everybody. And I'll see you soon.